Lately, a ton of you guys have been asking me for a drum tutorial, and I know exactly why. I've made maybe 2,000 melody tutorials by now, and maybe 3 or 4 drum tutorials. And lately, my drums have been extra bouncy, and there's a secret why. So let me tell you what that secret is. So what I've been doing now, instead of starting out with my melody, just because I feel like I got into a rut where I was just making melodies and just not really knowing where I was going with them as much. And to still keep in touch with that melodic component that I like to start out with, I start out with my bass notes in terms of the 808. So in terms of making bouncy drums, there's kind of a pattern you need to have in mind. This is the most common trap drum pattern you'll ever see. It might not be one for one, but it's gonna be pretty similar. Yeah, so you see like that similar structure. I pretty much use the exact same structure, just added in like an accent note here. That's kind of what it comes down to, just accenting the 808 notes with things around it. And now that I kind of have these notes here, I kind of want to find what I want to do with them, melodically, I mean. So I think I'm probably just going to go with like a progression I do already like and enjoy, like a 1, 3, 6, 7, something like that would be nice. We can mix that up as we go along. I'm going to change the 808 sound because my vision's kind of changed a little bit. But a good thing to keep in mind when you're sound selecting for your 808 is if your BPM is kind of in the faster range, like I'm in 160, that is faster. You want a shorter 808, and if your 808 is long, like this one kind of sounds a little bit long for the BPM, you can just turn down the out knob and this will shorten 808. And if it doesn't shorten it enough, you can turn the length knob so the sample length kind of shortens as well. If you really want to do some weird things to your 808, you can go over to this boost knob, turn on the clip. This will make your 808 clip. So I'm just going to turn this sample up with the boost knob a little bit. So now the 808 sounds like it sits a lot better with where a melody could be. So now I'm going to start laying out the rest of my drums. And you can get really creative with the hi-hat when you don't have anything else going on, because the hi-hat determines a lot of the drive and a lot of the bounce. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of let my hi-hat do some damage. Something I like to do with my hi-hat sometimes is I like to find a different hi-hat, because the hi-hat's supposed to add drive to your overall beat, kind of push everything forward. So I'll find like a different hi-hat in here, and then I'll just throw like a 2-step on there. And now these notes where the first hi-hat's playing, so we'll have 2 hi-hats at the same time, it'll be a little bit more accented. And we can pan those to different sides a little bit or a lot, depending on what we want it to sound like. This is gonna make the hi-hat in general just sound wider too. Now, I've really been enjoying messing around with snares and accent snares while there's no melody in the beat, and rims too, honestly. You can do some fun stuff, but in general, like the really common trap pattern for rims or for accent snares is this. Like you make this 2-bar pattern and you just copy that over a bunch. You'll hear this in all sorts of songs or some kind of variation of it in all sorts of songs. It sounds good. Like you kind of want to keep something similar to that. And what I like to do is where the hi-hat's not too busy, I like to kind of have something go on with that. And you don't want to do too much with just like one accent snare or one rim, because you might want to spread out and add in a little bit more. You can even have your 2 accent snares or rims or whatever they are kind of play off of each other. So right here, I have the other rim hitting on this beat, or well, half beat, whatever. And then I have the snare, the accent snare hitting here. So it's kind of that original pattern, but kind of spread between the 2, and then with some other notes in there. Kind of slept on, but open hats. You need to throw them into your beats. They add a lot. And realistically, like all you need to do is you can throw the open hat on the 2nd beat of the 1st and 3rd bar, or you can like even slide this over and just have it be the start. I think I'm gonna throw in another open hat too, because oftentimes it sounds really nice when you have 2 open hats. They play off each other. Also, it's like a decent rule of thumb. You don't have to do this, but it's a good idea sometimes to have your open hat hit when the 808 hits. Kind of add some high-end frequencies that just accent the 808 really nicely, because there's a lot of low-end frequencies in the 808. In terms of general drum mixing though, if you want your 808 to hit, the trick is to turn it up, and then on your master, you just want a soft clipper. General rule of thumb that I go by is I usually have my clap somewhere between -6 decibels and -9. Doesn't have to be precise, just wherever it sounds best. So in terms of where the sounds sit, you want your accent snares to be behind the clap a little bit more. So I usually kind of turn them down a tiny bit, maybe not too much. And the main idea is that the accent snare is accenting your clap or snare, whatever you choose. And the same thing can kind of be said about the hi-hat. The hi-hat should be a little bit quieter, so it's going to sit behind the clap, maybe even behind the accent snare, depends how your beat sounds. And in terms of drums, your open hat should probably be your quietest thing. You want that to be pretty damn quiet. It's just going to be sitting there. Now, if you're sitting here, you've got this crazy nice drum pattern going on, you don't know where to go with it, just open up FL Keys and just sprinkle in like the most generic melody you can think of if you want. Like you can start small and build out from there. This melody's pretty empty, but I'm gonna switch out the instrument for something in Electra X. I honestly just pick random banks when I go into Electra X. I'm thinking I'd take this and just pitch it up an octave. Now, I kind of like what I have, but I want to do some cool stuff to it. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to do Alt-Y to flip it horizontally. But what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to render this out as a sample. I'm going to reverse it. Sounds weird, but it's usable. That's kind of what you want. You just want to hear like a weird sound, turn it into a texture. And the main way I like to turn things into textures is I like to have like a high cut, well, high pass and low pass. So I'm pretty much just cutting everything. I'm gonna throw on the gross beat bank from my Overgloom trap bundle because I love the sounds in here. Like it adds a lot of texture. To really give it that ambient vibe, I'm gonna throw on a ton of reverb. Might even put on some Portal. Let's see if we can find something. Because I do, again, like this is just a texture. Like this is how I like to build when I'm building from drums. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm gonna render that out and keep that as well. Because as I'm going through Portal, I'm just finding other things I could use as textures. See, that sound is kind of cool as well. So I'm gonna take both of these and I'm just gonna flip them a little bit more. I'm gonna turn fade stereo on for this. And then overall, these both need to get a little quieter. But we kind of have something to start with. Now, what I want to do with my melody on this last little beat here, I want to take this and just bring that up. So I'm going to do a borrowed seventh instead. I'm going to go back to my 808 and just change this note to go here. I'm just going to cut this because I don't want the tail of this 808 to carry over as well. Now, because my melody has a lot of high end and no low end really, like the low end is pretty empty. I'm gonna cut the high end out of the synth. I'm gonna maybe make this a little more airy. I want to get a lead in here too, just kind of have some more melodic components going on. I do need a different lead sound though, because this one kind of hurts my ears. That's sound selection 101. If a sound hurts your ears, don't use that sound. I really like that lead. It's kind of weird. I just want it to be a little bit more airy. I do want to throw a little bit more reverb on here. I want to kind of sure up the rhythm that I've got going on. Maybe add a little bit more bounce. So I'm gonna add in a pluck and just sprinkle in some bouncy kind of vibes going in there.
finally shut your dumb ass up.